Okay, ladies and gentlemen, lady and gentlemen, we will call this meeting to order for Wednesday, November the 8th of the San Rafael Fire Commission. Each of you have a binder in front of you. It is for you to take and lovingly read at any time you wish. It is a subject that we have been over and over and over and over a number of times with members of the city staff, city attorney, etc. These are the new rules and regulations for all of the boards, committees, and commissions for the city of San Rafael. And we fall under that umbrella. So as you have heard previously, and as we will bump into from time to time, those are the new guidelines. So that's yours, take it home and do with it as you wish. So beginning now, following the agenda of the day, do we have, and I know the answer, any public expression?
I do.
We do.
I do. My name's
okay.
Richard.
And your name is?
My name's Richard Sears. I have a stately old Victorian down on Fifth Avenue that beats paint job. I came here in my compulsive carpenter clothes, dropped everything. I can see San Rafael very clearly from the upstairs of my house. And I noticed there's quite a bit of deadwood and still a lot of eucalyptus. And there's a reason why there aren't very many stately old Victorians on Fifth Avenue. They either got knocked down during, what was it, Reconstruction, not Reconstruction, but what was the name of the city when they were knocking down? Redevelopment.
Yes, right.
Sorry. And fires.
Yes.
So anyway, my question is, and I don't know whether this is within your guidelines to discuss right now, but there's a lot of deadwood, there's a lot of dead trees up there, big ones. I mean, really obvious. If you look at it, they stick out like a sore thumb. Now, I just rode my motorcycle up the fire trail in back, and I noticed it looks really great. I mean, the vegetation management looks wonderful. There's a lot of deadwood on the ground, but still a lot of the more flammable, easily burned stuff is gone. I'm just concerned about the eucalyptus being non-native and very flammable. That's really the main things, is that if the
And your reference is San Rafael Hill?
absolutely,
Yeah.
you know, this is what concerns me the most. This is where my investment is. This is where town is. It seems that this is the first line of the tracks, and it should be really hammered consistently year after year to keep it down. Not that it would really make much difference in a big flood. So there you have it.
All right.
So that's, I don't know.
Your comments are taken into consideration, recorded. They will be
Thank
passed
you.
on to a division in the department
Wonderful.
that takes care of that. And
I have the guy's card, Calvin.
yes,
Common trader.
All right, maybe I should just, but I just, my concern is that it's a continuing emergency.
Sure.
And you all know better than anybody else.
Got
And thank you very much.
no, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your coming. Thank you very much. Picking up, and there's no outside participation.
No.
Okay. Next would be approval of minutes. They were distributed online, hopefully read by everybody. Are there any omissions, corrections to the minutes as presented? None. Do I hear a motion to accept them?
Motion to approve.
David? Is a second? Motion second. All in favor of accepting as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are no dissenting votes. They are accepted as provided. At this point, I'm going to turn everything over to Chief White, and I do believe he has something, or does he?
The
Or
report.
did we get that?
Oh, that, yes, I don't have the agenda in front of me. Thank you. Thank you. All right, here we have it. See these without glasses, let's make sure. Well, first of all, I want to extend my appreciation to the individuals who actually stepped up and submitted their interest in becoming fire commissioners. I think you'll see from the group that already exists here that these are some very conscientious, dedicated, and committed individuals who want to see nothing but the best for the San Rafael community and surrounding communities. And so, obviously, you guys have a definite background and value that supplements and complements the group that's already in place here. And so, again, we welcome you here to the Fire Commission and look forward to your service and your support as we move forward. And I say that on behalf of the fire commissioners, but also more importantly, on behalf of the San Rafael Fire Department. So thank you. Absolutely. But with that, we have a couple of things. I'm going to start, not necessarily in the order that you might expect, because there were individuals who did not receive these certificates. And I'm going to start immediately to my right with Ms. Donna McCusker. So again, it's a certificate of appointment, and let it be known that you've been appointed to the position of Fire Commissioner effective October 16, 2023.
Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you. And then next, we have David Fonklesred. David, there we go. You should have received this several months ago. Wow. On March 20th, 23. And again, let it be hereby known that David Fonklesred has been appointed to the position of Fire Commissioner effective March 20th, 2023.
Thank you.
And then we're going on to our alternates. Mr. John Chung, effective November 6th, 2023. Let it be hereby known that you are now appointed to the position of Fire Commissioner alternate to the San Rafael Fire Commission. No worries. Last but not least, Chief Waterbury.
Yes, sir.
Well, you didn't have to stand, but thank you. Effective the same date, November 6, 2023. It's hereby known that you are now appointed as a Fire Commissioner alternate as well. We look forward to your service. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Question, you need one. Right? Sure. All right, fine. We have one more name on the list, which will be taken care of next week. Along the lines of the certificate, and as known by all of the longer serving commissioners, there is a badge that goes with the position. And those are on order. As it turns out, it takes forever to make them. But they should be here for the December meeting.
We're hopeful. We reached out recently to Tita at the Ed Jones. Tita mentioned the 12 to 16 week window. And those were actually ordered by our administrative assistant before her resignation and departure for her educational endeavors. We're about 5 weeks in at this point. So we're really optimistic that, she'll be able to meet the next meeting's timeline. I'm going to check in with her once or twice, just before the holiday and just after the holiday, to kind of make sure that they're on track. So, yep.
Got it. Thank you.
Are we to wear those when we go to the firehouse? Does that help? Do you want us to do that?
I think it's important that you be identified as a fire commissioner, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I know in the past, there's been some folks who like to wear them on their shirt, but also on wallet badge. Right, so I think that might be the preferable way, because I'm pretty sure you're not gonna wanna wear a shirt like this all the time to be identified.
I wouldn't mind.
Oh, okay.
Or do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
They come in these come in every shape, size, known to mankind. And the badges are there. Thank you for the update.
Absolutely.
And next in line on the agenda would be a report on the Fire Foundation. Donna?
So Chief, I'm gonna ask you to help me out, because I know that the foundation has met with you more recently.
Yes.
So my latest knowledge is, and you'll add to it, please, we're struggling to sell tickets and tables. It's not happening like it needs to happen. We're greatly deficient in ticket sales, so any and all encouragement, putting out on your Facebook page, anything that you can think of to do to help generate sales would be greatly appreciated. And the same with donations, that obviously the more the better. That if there's anyone you know that has a business that has a pool, something or other, that you think would make a nice donation, any and all donations are welcome. And at this juncture, I would tell you, get direct to Len Thompson, who's the chair of the foundation, with your donation. I'm hand delivering things to him this Friday. If any of you need me to take them for you on Friday, I'm happy to do it. But it's not ramping like it needs to, and I know they're concerned about it, and I'll let you give an update if you would.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Well, thank you first for your efforts to help support the craft feed and trying to get the word out about our need for ticket sales and or silent auction items. There's been steady effort over the last few months, but on the same token, I think for whatever reason, some folks have been slow to engage, partly because the craft feed has not been advertised perhaps the way it had been advertised in the past. I understand there used to be a banner across 4th Street that was a pretty large banner, and it gave everyone passing in that area an opportunity to see and know about the craft feed. Unfortunately, that banner was misplaced during the pandemic. We were not able to locate it at any of our facilities, and so we're not sure what happened. That being said, that was a significant expense that we decided to avoid this year. And perhaps down the road, we might find someone who could donate or substantially reduce the price. I hear that creating that banner is roughly $1,500 to $2,000 or more. So, yeah. So that being said, that was certainly a loss for us. We don't want to lose a banner ever again if we have another one created. So we're gonna have to take steps to make sure we assign it to a specific location or individual. Moving forward from that to Commissioner McCusker's concern, we're sitting somewhere around 140 to 150 people who purchase tables and or individual tickets. That's well shy of the break-even point, which is somewhere right around 200 individuals just for the Fire Foundation to cover their expenses involving the crab, involving the facility and everything else that goes into hosting the crab feed. I've reached out to a variety of individuals. I've done a lot of beat walking up and down 4th Street, and I've secured some donations. I'm gonna make a pretty nice donation myself. I have a couple of items in my office. So anyone that has a larger item that's say bigger than a laptop, I say, bring it to me. I'll hold on to those things. I think Chairperson Thompson is looking to hold on to the smaller donated items like gift cards or other things that could be carried in a folder or something else similar in size. With that, there's probably at this point about 10 to 12 agencies who committed silent auction gifts or items that can be used for the silent auction and or for the craft feed itself. But the word is getting out. Tomorrow, the San Rafael Police Officers Association, they're having their general membership meeting. I've spoken with their president to make sure the word gets out there. Hopefully they're going to purchase a table and perhaps even additional tickets. Same thing with the San Rafael Fire Department Fire Association. They're having their general membership meeting tomorrow, and the conversation is going to come there. I've been warming up the president. I've been warming up some of the E-board members and some of the general membership just to make sure they understand that, you know, there's a lot at stake here and we need more participation from the department and or those who are willing to volunteer their efforts to help secure more donations or sell tickets. On the volunteer front, we've actually secured quite a few volunteers. I reached out to the Bank of Marin. Jaime Ortiz from the bank there has got several individuals that are willing to volunteer as servers and other support staff that day. The Mission Rotary Club, Suzanne Karch, she's had several other individuals that are willing to step up and provide support and assistance as well. So we've got individuals, perhaps even the fire explorers, who may be able to come out and be servers and assist, but we're still looking to sell more tickets and or silent auction items. So please, if you need flyers, I can go and have a few printed right now and then distribute those to you. or we can send them out to you via email, but just want to ensure that you have something in hand. Like I said, I beat the streets quite a bit and I've been somewhat successful, but if I could have had at least 2 or 3 more people doing what I've been doing, I think we would be in a lot better place, at least as far as ticket sales and or silent auction items. So, I'm going to continue my efforts, but certainly would, welcome the efforts of additional folks. Yes, sir.
What kind of silent auction items are you looking for?
Your house at Tahoe,
I don't have one.
oh, the house at Palm Springs.
Don't have one. I got nothing, Donna, nothing.
So I'll give you an example of some of the things I'm aware of in the past, and some of you may be able to speak to this better than I can. I went to Redwood Sky Tours to see if there was a trip or some sort of donation they could provide, as an example. And also prefaced it with the idea that I'm looking to do a honeymoon trip, next year, so maybe they can support me with that. I've been to Jackson Hardware.
Well, I ran into Dr. Mizrock. He went to the Safeway.
Okay, yes,
So at least
yeah.
Safeway's been hit up.
Right, Safeway, Andy's and a variety of other places have been part of the outreach. I went to Pond Farms last week, and then they just today committed to providing us a cake. But we need about 4 or 5 cakes, so there's a few other, places I'm gonna reach out to see if they're willing to provide some supplement to that 1 cake. But gift cards for restaurants, I thought the Bank of Marin might give like a bond or something, but instead they ended up and kicked in a $1,000 sponsorship, which, right, so I was happy to see that, surprised to see that, but very happy to see it. I reached out to First Republic and the other bank right now that I can't think of their name, they're right across the street from Bank of Marin. I'm gonna go stop back in there. San Rafael Lumber bought 5 tickets instead of actually providing an item, but Jackson's Hardware, from what I understand, may have provided either a grill or some power tool or something else that people could bid on in the past. The Golf Mart gave $500 gift certificates. 2020 Optical did the same thing. Well, 3 of them, not 5. The sports place around the corner, Diamond Sports something, and I can't think of the name.
Oh, the baseball cards?
Yes.
So Diamond Collect, yes.
The owner there, Bobby, gave me a signed Buster Posey Giants helmet, and so
Nice.
it's a smaller helmet. It's not an official Major League helmet. So I'll bring those 2 items in. The one that I'm donating is a Stephen Curry signed jersey and it's already framed. So I'll let you guys see those in just a minute. But so anything and everything that we think may generate interest, whether it be food, whether it be gift baskets that are put together with fragrances and gift cards and whatever else that might be of interest, coffee, I mean, you name it. I think bottles of wine, all of that may be, certainly something that I could see it being part of a previous crab feed or silent auction that I think would be helpful right now as well. So if you have anything, the San Rafael Fire Department or Fire Association Station 51 has said that they're willing to donate a dinner with the fire station or dinner with the crew as well. So they're gonna put that out there, right? So there's movement, but we're a month out. And as a result,
Getting tight.
we want to, yes, and given that there's some challenges with crab right now in the local area due to the wells and the restrictions on fishing, they may have to go as far as Oregon, Washington, or even British Columbia to try to secure crab. And so I can imagine there's probably an added cost if things don't change between now and next month that we weren't anticipating, but to make sure that the actual crab feed takes place on December 9th, then that's just what's going to happen. So the hope is that we go well beyond 200, so that we're not just breaking even, but we're actually generating some needed revenue.
So who has the tickets? Like say I wanted to buy 2 right now.
Yeah, I've got 15 remaining right now, so I can certainly bring those in for anyone who's interested, but Lynn Thompson, Jack Devlin, and
On the foundation website.
Yeah, you can buy them
Oh,
online.
okay,
right,
okay.
so you got options, yes.
So Chief, one other thing that's happened in the past 2 weeks is I was able to get the event listed on multiple calendars. So the Marin IJ does calendar, the Cron, and Patch.
Okay,
One other thing too that I think we should start doing now is turning on like Hotshot if we can get it listed in Hotshot, and then also on the social media next door. I
yes,
think is probably going to be the strongest channel in the community. So I'll work with Phelps on
That's
that.
great. And we did discuss it briefly today, the snapshot, the city
Yeah.
snapshot is also gonna post a flyer
Yeah,
information as well. So,
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And then finally, if we could get, whoever has the best contacts with the editorial staff at the IJ, and I know in the past, we leaned on a council member to help us with something, but we can potentially get them to write a news article about it. But we need a little bit of a push with whoever has the best contact at the IJ.
Well, I know Mr. DiVincenzi, but I'm not sure he's the best contact. I'm not sure if there's someone else that may be more suited. I can certainly send him an
Does
email.
Jeff
and find out.
Kramer still have an inside track?
That's a great question.
Jeff Kramer, who is on the foundation
Yeah.
board, his former IJ, dad was the owner.
Right.
Yeah, so Jeff Kramer
Okay,
might have still some deep roots within the newspaper.
okay.
I mean, that would be like a really straight line if he's still got connections.
Can you send me Jeff's
Yes.
contact
Yes,
information?
I can do it right now.
I do recall a conversation happening about this just this past Monday. There was apparently some expense involved with trying to advertise, so the IJ certainly wants to be compensated.
Yeah, I was
and-
thinking about,
They were thinking closer to the event as opposed to a few weeks out and having that reoccurring expense. But maybe sometime within the final week of the event, if they wanted to spend that money. In fact, let me see if it's in my notes what the cost was. I may have heard it and not even wrote it down, but,
yeah, versus an advertisement, I was thinking if we could get them to do something in the editorial side, so it would be
yeah, they were thinking
earned versus
advertising.
paid, yeah.
Okay.
What about the little letters to the editor section? Play up the Fire Foundation and just slip in, oh, by the way, there's this fundraiser. I don't know if they would take that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I don't know those things. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know how they manage it, but the IJ does have a complimentary ad campaign for various nonprofits. It's, somebody's in there all the time. And certainly the foundation as a 501c3 qualifies
Yes.
under that bannerhead right away. I mean, my wife's involved with an outfit here in Marin, another nonprofit, and they get a mention probably once a quarter. But it's a quarter-page ad.
I think part of the problem is the foundation is so thinly staffed that, that they just don't have the human power to do all these things that we're talking about.
That's great.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges, as an example, that we tried to do some internal recruitment for is someone who can handle the silent auction process, the tracking of items, the allocation of those individuals who had the winning bid, as an example, and how that all that process works with a particular software. There's no one, I think, on the foundation right now who's done that, and or reaching out to staff. It may be, you know, a 7th or 8th grade kid or something that might be ideal to work on this because, you know, they're a little more tech savvy or may be able to navigate this. But the question is, do we go back to old school ticket and, or, you know, bid card, or do we try to, you know, implement something that's more
Are
streamlined?
they doing this silent auction online as well as
No.
like at the event or just
At the event, from what I know.
At the event, and there's just a sheet of paper.
That's what I was.
Sure, sure.
And write in your bid.
Right.
Yeah, but it's the logistics of then pulling all those together,
Mhm.
taking them up to the front and making sure that the person that bought it gets it and pays.
Mhm.
It can be pretty busy if you have enough donations.
Yes.
I got an in with the Catholic Church over here. There's a bunch of them. So I can talk to the priests. Father Spiros, he's the head of all the priests. They
Yes.
can make a mention at the end, you know, let's say, hey, support the local fire department because they're giant landowner over
Yeah,
there.
no,
I
that's
can get
great.
them to put the flyers. I'll ask
Should I
for,
give you some hard copies of those right now, or?
yeah, I'll print them for you.
Okay.
If I just get an email, so, you know, just going through like Marin Catholic.
I can
and see
email
what
you the
sounds.
document.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank
I'll
you.
do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Donna, anything else?
No, I think we've covered it and then some.
Okay, fine. Excellent. Thank you. In the category, the agenda category called current media coverage, the items listed were mentioned at our last meeting. This is how this is going to work now for a while. If you have something you want us to discuss in detail, we can state that fact today, talk about it in December. Yeah, I know. That said, girls fired up, I brought to the table. I didn't bring the paper with me and it's there, no, thank you. But I happen to know it's also part of the chief's report.
It is.
Would you like to discuss that, portion now?
Absolutely.
The floor is yours.
Sure. I read the article just once. I gotta be honest, I was a little bit disappointed. I don't feel like the article was a fair representation of the interview I gave, and I don't think very many of the other fire chiefs and other individuals who had involvement in this from conversations to all the way actual realization of the event. They weren't really referenced in that article at all. In fact, the individual who you could argue was a proponent of it was the person they relied on for a lot of the content in that article, unfortunately, and that was the local 1775 county president, John Bagala. John's information, it didn't fully reveal all the workings, all of the conversation, all of the planning, or any of the things that took place to bring this about. So, you know, I think my initial frustration was to see whether or not we could have a conversation with the author and or the author supervisor. But after letting it simmer for a few days, I just figured next time we'll probably get ahead of this a little bit differently so that we're not faced with a interview and or information gap going out to the public. So, so given that, I'll just give you a little bit of background. From our arrival in 2020, one of the things I was hoping to do was bring a girls' camp to the Marin County area because I knew there had not been one. And I was familiar with multiple girls' camps occurring in the South Bay and in the East Bay. Having been in the Oakland Fire Department and watched what happened in Santa Clara, watched what happened in Fremont, our support of those girls' camps that were being operated through the Alameda County Fire Chiefs Association. And so when I first mentioned it, you know, the room was fairly quiet, but I think they kind of warmed up to the idea and then saw, you know, eventual value in the idea. The challenge we had is that we're in the midst of the pandemic. It was just getting underway and it didn't look like, you know, it's going to be a timely thing at any point. And given the gaps that we have right now in recruiting women into the fire service, we've been seeing a steady decline over the last decade or so. The goal is to try to do more outreach and encourage young women to see this as a viable option to consider careers in the fire service, whether it was suppression, prevention. There's other forestry related activities and a variety of things now that some usually fold under the fire department, like Office of Emergency Services now in many cases. And so the primary individuals that were initially involved in this were myself, Chief Tyler from Novato, and Chief Tubbs from Southern Marin. And then we had supplemental support coming from the rest of the fire chiefs. And the goal was to allow the women themselves to construct the camp and the chiefs to stand back and let them set up what was going to make sense. And this was going to be driven and operated predominantly by women firefighters, individuals who were experienced from the rank of firefighter all the way through the chief officer ranks. And that's more or less what occurred, except the women were starting to run into some staffing gaps. And it looked like this was not going to actually be able to happen because we didn't have enough women within the county to actually put on a camp. So I reached out to a counterpart I know, her name is Candace Coachman in Oakland, who I know has been involved in many camps. She reached out to a lady named Erica, who heads up the Golden State Women in Fire Service. And they agreed to come in, and they had actually looked to target Marin County and the North Bay for a future girls camp because they saw this as an area where they'd like to move and provide one to help meet the need. So it was a good marriage right away. So Golden State Women in the Fire Service, along with our women here within the county, started planning and organizing and getting ready for the opportunity. And we're landing on the right dates and getting it set up for initially a 50 girls attendees camp. We had 50 plus rostered. However, the day of 23 actually showed up. Yeah, the challenge also concurrent with that was the Golden State Women in Fire Service had anticipated upwards of maybe close to 100 of their staff coming to help with this effort. It's going to be a monumental effort. They had just done the camp 2 weeks before though, and it started to look like, okay, folks were falling off, getting mandatory to work. Some folks were like, I can't do, 2 back-to-back camps. They ended up with about 25 or so staff members to actually instruct. We used our members to supplement that, so they had definitely a pretty good, robust, group of individuals who could work the 2-day camp. Camp was held in Novato at Station 62. They allowed us to use their training facility because it's a pretty nice place and it has the capacity in the room for all of the various things that were being done there. And so, as you'll see in my report, where I'll just cover it briefly, there was forcible entry props. There was getting familiar with advancing a hose line, a charged hose line. There was climbing aerial ladders. There was navigating a maze through a smoke-filled building. There was a firefighter self-extraction course where they were trying to, navigate areas where they were potentially trapped and how to work and get out of that and have the confidence to do it with individuals right there alongside them the whole step of the way. And so it was a confidence builder, as much as it was a educational opportunity for the young attendees. And so first day 23, next day 5 fell off. So they were down to 18, and those 18 finished strong. Great, group of individuals who contributed. We had 4 people here from San Rafael Fire Department who helped out. Curiously enough, none of them were from the suppression ranks. They were from administration and or our EMS and or vegetation unit, and our administrative analyst. She even helped out, which was huge. She's also helping out with our fire explorer. She's helping out everywhere. So all that to say, really proud of our effort internally. But ultimately, we're hoping that this sets the seeds in the beginning of a annual or biannual girls camp. And my hope is that the word gets out and we're able to do a bit more recruitment next year, given that this year was a success. And I have to say, as I close on this, the Golden State Women in Fire Service were really thrilled that they had the level of support that they had. Our fire foundation kicked in $5,000 to help out, as did Novato's, as did Southern Marin. So that ate up half the projected cost right away. The rest will be covered by all of the agencies within Marin County, for a total of roughly estimated $25,000 to $30,000 cost for the 2-day camp. But they felt like they had received support, unlike any support they had received at other camps. And I was really pleased to hear that. Surprised to hear it also, actually, but very pleased to hear it. So that being said, that was the girls' camp. The article came out afterwards, and it did not have the spirit or the background or the tone that I thought was appropriate for what we were trying to accomplish. Instead, it focused on the inequities, it focused on the shortcomings, it focused on everything except what was building up to why this camp was to be and what the value and the outcome was from the camp. So that's why I say I think next time we'll get ahead of this with our own messaging.
Chief, will there be 50 people for next year's camp? Would that be the goal?
I think that's the goal they'd like to set, because they feel like, depending on the number of instructors they have, that's a number they feel is a really good use of their time. But they didn't have any complaints about 23, but I think they really optimally would have wanted to see more. But given that they had fewer instructors available,
It
I think
worked out.
23 ended up being,
Right.
ideal.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was the age range of the participants?
I believe they were 15 to 19 or 20. I'm sorry, I gotta remember that. I think they were at least 10th grade in most instances, would have put them right around 15 years old.
Do we do, work within the high school, Centerville High, Terra Linda High? Do we go into the schools and let them know about these?
Yes, the outreach occurred from the Golden State Women in the Fire Service, and additional outreach occurred from McKenna Romero, from Southern Marin, and Kim Lessick from Novato. They had already started working, Terra Linda High, San Rafael High, and a variety of other schools to try to make sure that they were warming people up to the fact that this was coming. And then there was a registration period, or a communication, then a registration period, and then more follow-up afterwards. So there was definite outreach. I think part of it is that Golden State Women in Fire Service wanted to drive their outreach component first and foremost. But we still had the supplemental inroads and conversations with some of the staff and the others at the various schools.
So I know you had a hard time with the female firefighters on the force. They would be the perfect persons to go to the schools to interface with the young women there. that would be the ticket.
I agree. The reality is, we only have two. One of the two, from what I understand, did not necessarily see the value in what was being done. I think that individual may have turned the corner because they were on scene and saw what was taking place firsthand on one of those days, but I don't know for sure. I haven't had that conversation to follow up. And then the other, I think, was engaged early on, but I'm not sure what the concerns were that led to that individual pulling back and not staying engaged. And
And does Novato have female firefighters?
yes, they do. Captain Kim Lessig was one of the key individuals, firefighter, paramedic Nicole Scott. There were others.
So they could coordinate with Centerville.
You know, peer pressure sometimes works, but I don't know if it would have been enough. Yeah.
Well, if there's anything we can do to help.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Well, again, I think it was a successful outcome. So I was happy to see it finally happen, given it was 3+ years,
First try.
but yes, and everyone felt good leaving there, that they had a great experience. So, that's what we wanted. So,
As these things go, word of mouth gets out.
yes.
So the first one is always gonna be the hardest. And people hear about it, they look forward to it, and you can keep building up.
That's the hope.
Just keep
Absolutely.
doing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next item that we brought up last time to discuss now, 911 calls, still having trouble with cell phone. Who brought that to the table?
I did. So, yeah, that was just, it was an article, it was in the Wall Street Journal, so it was national. They were talking about antiquated 911 dispatch centers and how they receive calls from cell phones and how some of them aren't up to date. Like some of them are 20 years plus old and can't necessarily take advantage of some of the attributes of a modern cell phone. So location, things like that. So I'm assuming that's not our situation here, but I thought it was an interesting article nonetheless.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, that situation is in my former agency and my current community, but that does not exist here to my knowledge. I think one of the great things about what we're seeing happen here also segues into our fire dispatch, and our move away from Marin County Sheriff's Office into our own capability that's fire department led with the county. So I think you'll see more efficiencies with not only receiving calls, but dispatching calls and the appropriate resource that goes to those calls as well. So those are evolving things that are coming down the road, but certainly we're getting ahead of things, so much so that other agencies are looking at from outside the county, maybe trying to contract with Marin County Fire Department for dispatch services. Yes.
Wow.
So
Yeah, it's pretty amazing some of the capabilities now, because you can just, turn on the camera on your phone and give a visual of an emerging situation.
Right.
Full GPS location tracking, like it's really helpful.
On the flip side, there are counties, agencies that are outsourcing dispatching services, guys in Texas, thank God we're not doing things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're in other states.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
They have a map. You can figure out where to call, but it's 2,000 miles away.
yeah, I had heard even years ago that CHP was routing calls through Denver, Colorado, and then they would come back to the local jurisdiction. So that was the call processing center. And they would come back from there. And this was easily 10 years ago. I don't know if that's still the dynamic, but yeah, so it's already landed here to some limited degree, but hopefully it's not the current practice.
Hopefully it's within the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we're outsourcing everything. Next item on the list has to do with the Folsom Times. I'm just going to take a guess, Don.
So, this was just a really lovely article about how the El Dorado Hills Fire Service worked with a family whose son wanted to be a firefighter for a day, and so they did a Make-A-Wish for him, and it was just a beautiful story about how this little boy got to be, quote, a firefighter for the day, and I just thought it would be fun to share with all of you that that's maybe something our fire department wants to do someday. Do a Make-A-Wish. Never know.
There was something similar. You got scads of headlines at the time. It was in San Francisco, and the kid was dressed up as Batman.
That
But
was a big deal.
was that a Make-A-Wish as well?
I think so.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Prior to the baseball game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have we engaged in any of those around here to your knowledge lately?
I haven't heard of any Make-A-Wish requests. The only requests we've received recently have been more towards providing ride-along opportunities and or internships for certain students, but certainly nothing with the youth, like a Make-A-Wish request.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure if we receive one, we do our best to accommodate it.
Sure, sure.
Yes.
Thank you. Next in line, are the individual reports, and I suspect that portions of what we've heard already, will come, not necessarily have to be addressed again. I'll save my comments to last. Dave?
Yeah, I think I covered two of my things earlier. The only other one is we're still working with Captain Murphy on doing the ride along. I think we've got a date set up in a couple of weeks, so really looking forward to that. And I think Commissioner Weathers and I might do that one together with them. So looking forward to that, and we'll report back after that. Right?
All right.
So is he the go-to for Ken and I? Is he the point man to coordinate it?
I guess Chief, he was here at a fire commission meeting a couple of months ago. He offered, so that's
I
what we went
would,
to.
I would generally defer to the battalion chief that's on
Okay.
duty to try to help coordinate because they have a better sense of
Got it.
whether someone's at training, has a public education event or some other activity that could make it either ideal or less than ideal for you guys to get the best experience. So,
Okay.
you know,
Anyone in particular or
well,
any station?
I'll just say you can route it to me and I could route it to Chief Roman and or the battalion chiefs and then you guys can coordinate directly with the battalion chiefs at that point.
Okay.
So you got three chiefs. There's Chief Hatfield, Chief Bernard, and Chief Hamilton. So
Okay.
Chief Roman is the ops chief, but he's not in the office on Fridays. Monday through Thursday, he is. But if you guys reach out to somebody on a Friday and you don't hear back, that's fine. Well, if you reach out to him, but you can reach out to any of the others and they're all pretty responsive. So it shouldn't be a problem.
Since we already have this one in motion with Captain Berkey, should we continue that or? should we-
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hopeful that Captain Berkey at least looped in his battalion chief so that they're aware that this is gonna happen and they're not, you know, taken by surprise if they see the commissioners riding along with the engine.
Okay.
So.
Wear your
I think it's,
badge.
um,
Sure. wear your badge.
Yeah, badge, jacket, shirt. That's it.
Ken?
Sure, I haven't gotten myself into the swing of things, of getting my articles out directly to everybody. I was always kind of sending them directly to people, so I apologize for that. But so what I wanted to share with you, and for you guys, I sometimes give a little bit of an insurance spin on things and how it relates to fire, because I'm in the insurance industry, and so this group has kind of lived with me and my articles where it was gonna get bad. You know, I'd share with them like, hey, these insurance companies are gonna leave the state, AIG, Travelers, Nationwide, Hartford. And then they left. And then people would say, wow, yeah, that actually happened. And so now what you're seeing is the price got so high, as Chief and I will sometimes talk about, the price got so high for reinsurance in London that it's at a point now where you'll see in January, they'll start to undercut each other a little bit. And then you saw Ricardo Lara, he's the insurance commissioner for the state of California. He was running for a re-election post and he won it, and this was last year. And after that, he didn't have to worry so much. And so he was able to give some insurance companies some leeway on rate relief to approve their rate filings increase. And so when they did that, it's a tit for tat. They came back and said, okay, we'll participate now in your California Fair Plan. I don't know if you've seen those articles, so this is some of the stuff I was gonna send to you, and I will get it out. And so the California Fair Plan now that's tremendous relief for a lot of people because they'll put up to $20 million worth of limit for a single structure.
Wow.
And that's a big deal. So if you've got a big community or a big HOA, and that's worth, $400 million. And you've got layered programs on that, right? That burn layer, as it's referred to in the insurance industry, is you can put it through the fair plan. They treat it like a deductible almost, right? And that will allow people to stack on top of it. So it's getting better. And then when you see those carriers, the fair plan requires everybody that writes insurance in the state of California to participate in it. You're gonna see, and mark my words, because I've seen it over my career, you'll see them go, we make money we can make money in some of these Firewise communities. If we just stick to the Firewise communities, and it'll start to trickle that way. And that's where it comes back to the work that San Rafael Fire's done. As that gentleman from the public said, he goes up on the hill and he looks at it. I mean, this community is, if you look at the Firewise map, and I mentioned this before, and you compare it from 2-3 years ago to where it is now, it's like a reseed of the fire growth, of the undergrowth. It's amazing what this community has done. It just, you walk the community, you see houses that you used to not be able to see the front of, right? And now you can see the trees are gone, the stuff under the eaves, everything, because they got after it, right? They had all those people out there knocking on doors, taking pictures, the eucalypt or the cypress had to go. It's great stuff. So I see it from my side, from the insurance perspective, but it's the work that you folks have done.
And we're just piggybacking on top of the work that others had done before us, Chief Waterbury, Chief Marcucci, Chief Gray, and others who have been slowly but surely setting the expectation about the wildfire prevention and protective action plan and those 38 action items. Those things set the groundwork for what we're able to do in the community. Those individuals work closely with the community to make sure that everybody was on board and understood the value and importance of what was being proposed. And everyone was in agreement for the most part about that. And so that made it a lot easier. And it ties in also with what's happening on a countywide basis. So when MWPA, or excuse me, when Measure C passed and was able to form the MWPA, that was huge. Because now you got the resources to make a difference. All you have to do at that point is hire the skilled individuals and go out and get the projects done. And so it's really helpful, and it's amazing to me to see. That's one of the things that actually attracted me to coming to San Rafael. I'll say this, and I don't want to belabor anything, but I was coming with my hat in my hand for $1 million in Oakland, in a community that suffered through a major catastrophe. And now I'm hoping they're not going to cut that budget. It went at 1.7, then it was dropping to 1 million, and it was a question whether I was going to receive the funding, because we had a measure that did not, or a wildfire prevention assessment district that failed by 68 votes. And so now there's no funding source. Right now we have a funding source, and you're seeing the benefit from that on a regular basis right now. So thank you for acknowledging that as well.
Yeah, because the my industry is gonna look at this community and they're gonna say, that's a community that we can make money in. Because that's really, I mean, that's insurance, right? And they're gonna say, where can I make money? And, it's funny, I parked somewhere with my wife and she goes, well, it's like in Ross. And she goes, well, didn't they have a problem with the cypress trees over here? And I go, well, it's not San Rafael. We're not in San Rafael right now, it's not as stringent over there. And
or they don't have the same level of resource
yeah,
to address the problem. right?
yeah, exactly. So it's it's good. It's so when you talk to people in the community, just you could echo those sentiments like, hey, it will get better. It's slowly getting better, but it's because of the hard work.
Are you talking about California Fair Housing? Is that the state plan?
State plan,
Where you
yeah,
can't get insurance any other way?
yeah. So they've opened it up, and so a lot of folks didn't have any alternatives. They didn't know what they were going to do. They were uninsured.
Well, that's because I do Indian law, and I do tribal housing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the tribes are located in rural or wooded areas.
Sure.
And there's 1 or 2 insurance companies that are tribally owned that insure, but even they're pulling out because the risk is too great.
Right.
So I've been getting questions about, well, where do I get house insurance then?
Yeah,
So-
you go to this.
California Fair Housing.
Sure, yeah, California Fair Fund, but for the big commercial folks, they have the same problem, right? But if you could buy that for 10 million. And they look at, well, has this place ever had any fires? They've never had any fires. So then you've got a litany of insurance companies that will attach at 10 million. Right? That's why that was key.
Interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry to get some detail.
No, it's very helpful.
Council, you're next.
Nothing to report. You did ask me, you gave me the Lahaina wildfire.
Oh, yes, right, long ago,
I
Carl.
don't know if we can talk about it now, 'cause it's not on the agenda. But even though I prepped, I'm just gonna table that. Otherwise,
We'll do it. We'll do it
it's
next
all
month.
good. Although I would ask the chair to have the new members introduce themselves at some point and or have each, like I said, the council members.
I was about to get there because we run the table. Oh, no, I haven't, excuse me.
No, we're
Donna.
good. I don't really have anything more to report, so we're good.
Okay, fine. Now, having said that, We do have two new faces. John, Brian. Let's start with you and a thumbnail sketch of what got you here.
Um, well, as you know, I was with the Centerville Fire Department for 32 years and retired out as division chief, which in those days was akin to being assistant chief. It was a battalion chief, but with a lot of administrative responsibility. And I live here. I grew up here. I grew up in Terra Linda. I currently live over in Personal Park. And my passion has always been community service. Go back to the Boy Scouts, you know, or the Scouts. And I really saw what the chief was doing. You know, I thought, you know, he's doing good. They're doing good stuff there. And I wonder if I could be involved. And I talked to Chief Senate, and he said, yeah, I think there could be a position for you. And so I asked around with the fire commission, because in my tenure here, the fire commission has gone very powerful commission that actually hired fire chiefs to the, you know, a social. So I thought, hey, with my experience and my history with what went on during the late 60s, early 70s, that I can be of some value and really be of value to the chief. So I've done a lot of work in the community. So,
When did you retire?
pardon me?
When did you retire?
I retired in 2005. July 1st. I actually started as a Centerville Fire used to have its own dispatch. So dispatch, and when I got out of the Navy, I started out in 1967 as a volunteer firefighter in Terra Linda, which had its own fire department. It was a community services district. But I started out there as a volunteer with my way up to part-time paid man, and then went into the service, did a tour of Vietnam, and came back. And just about that time, the community service district was morphing into the city of Centerville. And so they were really getting rid of the volunteer fire department. But at the time, Chief Marcucci came up with an idea of using some of these volunteers as dispatchers. Because at the time, there was a secretary who dispatched during the day when she was here. And at night, it was one of the firefighters that was responsible for answering the hotline and doing this. So I had enrolled in College of Marin, got my AS degree in fire science, and this was a perfect opportunity for me to come in, sleep on a cot in the old communications room, and subsequently worked my way out to chief. So,
Brian, was that at the old firehouse that was demolished?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was,
51.
yeah, 51 was, that's where you started as a rookie. Even though I worked here for a year as a dispatcher on the firefighters, they were extra hard on me going through the physical agility test. Cut me no slack. They made that clear right off the bat. So yeah, so I wound up being a rookie firefighter, Station 1. And at the end of my career, my office was in Station 1.
Perfect.
Yeah, so those doors out there are very sentimental.
Yeah.
And the spiral staircase is very sentimental.
I see a movie in the making.
I don't know where the pole is, but.
And there's a railing right out in front of the apparatus bay too. You might-
We spent a lot of time, looking out over C Street with that railing and decorating it every Christmas with lights. So I mean, I get it, I think that the commission with the expertise that's on this commission could be a really valuable resource for the fire chief and the fire, not just a social, but I firmly believe on looking into the future. Where's the fire service going? I mean, as far as like, artificial intelligence and stuff like that, what's out there that we could be looking at, not to implement, but just to kind of help the fire chief and administration say, what's happening out there in the community. Here's where I think that we could be trying to do something. Thank you.
Thanks for your service.
Well, thanks.
For being Veterans Day coming up. Thank you. for your
Yes,
service.
thanks.
Yes.
John?
Yeah, so, I got a call from Donna. We have a mutual friend, Matt Sampson, who's deputy chief of South San Francisco. Marinwood guy. And Donna said, called me and said, we're looking for fire commissioners. Criteria, you have to be a San Rafael resident. And at the time I guess I had just retired I did 30 years of company. So I just retired, so the chance to still be connected. So here I am. So lived in San Rafael since 1997. I live out in Loch Lomond. Greatest job in the world, so I'm still connected to it. Chief White can think it's the greatest job in the world. Same circus, different clowns, right? Same goes.
Different locations, same program.
Yeah. I was very fortunate to work with some very, very good people in San Francisco. I managed the fleet, and all the equipment. First half of my career was as a firefighter, as a driver, apparatus operator, and we call it engineers here. So, I still teach that. I came up with this word called subject matter expert. That's what I still teach. Then the second half was like, as the chief knows, when you're having too much fun, they promote you, right? So, so I got promoted in the second half of my career, out on Ocean Avenue, and good crews, good battalion, a lot of good work, a lot of fires. We were the first non-Santa Rosa engine that dumps fire. So I've never seen so much fire in my life. And so, we were doing a lot of stuff with the HOA, out of county, wildland, things like that. But I finished my career as an instructor. So we're hiring a lot of people all over the place. So we're happy to be here. Thank you for being part of this mix. Welcome.
I wanted to add that I had reached out to my local firehouse, Terra Linda, because I felt that we really needed a former firefighter in this room. And I never dreamt I would get two. So I'm thrilled to have you both with us. It's great.
I remember when Donna was literally shooting up that.
Yeah.
I grew up with her brothers and,
Yeah.
My God.
Small world.
Small world indeed.
Briefly then, those of us who have been there longer than 10 minutes, and why don't we start ladies first? What brought you to the table? And so they'll know,
Oh,
they
got it.
know.
Okay.
but-
So as Brian knows, my brother was with the Centerville Fire Department for 34 years. He lost his life to the profession with cancer. I always loved the profession, always. I just thought you guys are the best. So my brother certainly enhanced that love of the profession. And the foundation was formed about 7 years ago, and I was doing my philanthropic review of what I wanted to do in my lifetime in a philanthropy method. And right about that time, the foundation was formed. So I said, wow, perfect, Centerville Fire Foundation. They're definitely gonna be in my estate plan. But I wanted to be sure that they had it going on. So I started attending their meetings because I thought, okay, if I'm gonna give to an entity, I should know more about them. So I started attending and I've never stopped. I still go to their meetings every month. So that's been going on for 7 years, and it was just serendipity. You know how sometimes you pick up your phone and there's something on well, there it was, an opening for the Centerville Fire Commission. And I went, oh, wow. So I had a former fire chief, Pete Martin, who was the fire chief out at Point Reyes Firehouse. He's my neighbor. And so I contacted him, and I also spoke with Steve Mizrock, given that he had served on the commission. And I told them all, I don't want another job. This is going to be another job because I still work in my career. And they said, it'll be whatever you want it to be. And the best part of being on the commission, and I really encourage all of you to play off of this. The best part of this has been for me, it gives me a little legitimacy to go to the firehouse. I have the mental confidence to go there as an emissary for the department, to interface with the crew, to talk with them, to ask them, what do you guys need? Guys, gals, what do you need? What do you want? Talk to me. And because I'm a commissioner, they get it. And because I care so much about them and their careers, they know I'm really, truly interested and want the feedback. So it's been just wonderful to go to the different firehouses and interface with the crew. And I would strongly encourage all of you to do the same at your local firehouse. They love it. It shows we care and that we're listening.
Thank you.
Ken?
Mine was just, so I work for this insurance brokerage firm, a big global insurance brokerage, and we have a relationship, long-standing relationship with the Catholic Church throughout the United States. And so my clients are the diocese, Archdiocese of San Francisco, Diocese of Sacramento, Stockton, Fresno. And so over a period of 2.5 to 3 years, these wildfires just ravaged those things because they're wood frame, older buildings in the foothills. Sacramento lost a ton of stuff. Santa Rosa burned down, Cardinal Newman High School. So my wife would see me come home and I go there after the fire's out, right? And I'm meeting with these people and come home smelling like smoke, and I go, this is gonna get really bad. This is gonna be a big problem for people in the state of California. And then she saw something in, I don't know what it was something about a fire commission. She goes, you could lend some of your knowledge to these people. And I go, I'd never be able to qualify for that. So she goes, you should do it. And so I put in an application in. And it was right about that time where they asked me, they go, well, what would you bring to the deal? I go, well, this kind of a unique perspective. And that's all I got.
Good. Counselor?
I had a backdoor way into this. I kind of looked into it. I applied initially, and like you, Brian, public service is very important. And I wanted to give back to the community. And so I applied to the planning commission. I'm a lawyer. There's somewhere I can help. So I applied. 20 people apply to that commission. So I don't get picked, but I get a call literally the next day from a city council member saying, Tom, we didn't pick you for the planning commission, but we have a spot for you. How about the fire commission? And I had no clue what that even was. So I did some research, like, oh, this would be awesome. What a way to help. And so I came in and did the interview. And of course, there's one seat and it's me and Lynn Thompson is the other applicant. I don't know if you know Lynn, but he's retired LA and he's fire chief up in Petaluma, great guy. So obviously they give him the seat, but they say, we want you to be on as an alternate. So I've been a part of the commission now for 10 plus years. And you'll find that when you're appointed a full member, then it's a 2-year term limit, and then you got to go. So my term will be up next October, but I've managed to stick around a long time because A, I was an alternate, and B, this term limits didn't start till recently. But I've been very fortunate to work with some wonderful people. And so I'm kind of the lawyer part of it, I guess. And so Lynn and I did all the paperwork for the Fire Foundation, and I helped set that up and get the 501(c)(3) and all that, and kind of lend whatever legal advice I can here and there. And so, very happy to be part of it. I've known John forever. Our kids were in Little League and SR baseball, and we cut Christmas trees together with the Christmas tree lot. And so it's a great group of people, and I'm very proud to be part of it.
So I'm Dave Funkelsrud. I've been on the commission now for about 7 years, and just until recently, all that time has been as an alternate. So that's why I got the certificate today. Thanks, Jay. And I think the question was what got us to this point, got us interested. I can't really point to one thing. There've been so many, but everything. You know, my father was a surgeon in Southern California, so kind of grew up with that background and knowing how many medical calls the fire departments do. 911 was hugely impactful. I knew people who died, and you know, it was kind of a seminal moment, Pearl Harbor of our generation. I lived in Southern California, worked for a company, a small office, probably of about 12 people. And when the Malibu fire came through, several of our folks lived up there. 4 of them lost their homes. And one of them actually was pretty amazing. Her photo was in Time magazine, but she was rushing down a hill into the arms of the firefighters who rescued her as she was escaping, you know, fire that destroyed her house. And she had this look of horror on her face. You just saw the arms of the firefighters reaching to help her out. And then I have several friends who are firefighters as well. So it's a way to serve and give back. Just like Tom helps with the legal side of things, Ken on the insurance side. I have a background in marketing and public relations, so I try and help out with some of the social media and other things. And definitely am feeling a lot of pressure right now on the ticket sales. Okay, so we'll redouble those efforts, but great to have both of you here and welcome.
Born and raised in San Francisco, moved to Marin in 1969. San Anselmo on a couple of town committees, living there for 25 years, moved to San Rafael 32 years ago. And not too on the other side of town from you, I'm up on Fair Hills Road. And in short order, I got involved in the homeowners association. And that was kind of my first introduction to the mechanics of San Rafael, because homeowners association wanted to do this, that, and the other thing, and you always had to go to somebody in City Hall. Oftentimes it was the fire department. Turned out I had a neighbor who was a fire commissioner. Her name is Mary Ellen Irwin, and Mary Ellen was a force to be dealt with. Don't get in her way. But when we needed something, by the time she hung up, we got it. And I thought, this is cool. I don't know what she's doing, but I like what she's doing. Things changed. I was no longer president. She ultimately passed away. And I saw something, I think it was in the IJ, wherever it was, about the commission. I thought I should look into that. And I didn't. And I kicked myself around the block for a couple of years. And it came up again. I thought I should do something about that. So I did. Like you, I went to an interview. There were 2 people, myself and this person I'd never heard of. But I did get a copy of his resume the day before the interview. So I went, I looked at it and I went, why am I going? Because I was being interviewed up against Steve Israel. For those of you who don't know him, he was only on the commission for a little over 20 years. If you know him, then you know how he fits into the community. And so I went to the interview and I just let it fly. I just, my career is broadcasting. I'm retired. So they called me and said, the decision was made and we're offering the position to Steve. But we'd like to have you join us as an alternate. That was a interesting change, probably, we've never talked about this. The commission only had one alternate, and was David. And all of a sudden, I'm coming on now as an alternate. Now they have two. Where did that come from? Don't ask. The simple answer is they looked at the rules, and the rules said the commission will have 5 members and an alternate. It didn't say they couldn't have 2. So they created a role. And I was there for 4 years, 5 years, something like that. And then an opening came along, and I, like you, went and applied again to stay and became a voting member. And then things changed really quickly. Steve was timed out. Larry Luckham was chair, and he got timed out. All of this takes 6 months to a year to happen. We picked a chairperson. She lasted 6 months and then had a professional change. And in her being chair, I was selected to be vice chair. She moves on out, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting here as the new chairperson with a strange look on my face. And so here we have it, and here I am. Anyway, the 2 of you, welcome, and you see how we function, pretty much. A couple more things to do business-wise. We have the sheriff's report, shorthand, if you
Absolutely,
don't mind,
not at all.
and then I'll set up some things for December and call it a day.
Monday, October 9th, Assemblyman Damon Connolly and other members from the legislative bodies, fire chiefs, including Dave Winokur from Moraga Arenda Fire Department, Mark Brown, our executive director of NWPA, Amy Bach from United Policy Holders Group, and a variety of other individuals involved in the insurance industry, had a hearing on insurance and wildfire prevention. So it was very informative, lasted a few hours. I had some key takeaways here that I listed in the report. There was a whole lot more on my notes, but I thought that's a bit more of a conversation than it is something to put in the report. But the end result is there's effort underway to try to address the problem, as Ken alluded to ensure that there's at least some insurance participation moving forward into California, as opposed to in the insurance industry vacating California. And so there's some criteria that you're looking to set in place, a clear and consistent set of 11 statewide factors that ultimately are going to affect insurance premiums. But I think, as Ken indicated earlier, Commissioner Johnson indicated the Firewise communities and the ability to export data into the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. That's something the MWPA is currently working on, and I think they have the capability of doing right now. So when you're able to share information about your individual properties to demonstrate all the work that you've done, that information is now being shared, and decisions can be made specific to your property, not just to the fire history in that area, which I think has been part of the past practice for multiple decades, from what I understand. So these are things that are being worked on right now to at least understand the problem, recommendations coming from different sectors who all have a vested interest in trying to ensure that, not only are we safe, but we're insurable as well. So more to follow on that, I'm sure, especially considering Assemblyman Connolly has kind of taken the charge on this to try to get the conversation started on behalf of the county, but really statewide at this point. So more to follow. We had a vegetation removal project a couple weeks ago in Gerstle Park, the Fire Road area there. We had maybe about a dozen individuals from San Rafael, including 2 individuals who come as the California Climate Action Corps Fellows, Adita Gordon and Joe Boyden. They just joined us literally within the last couple of months and are already identifying different areas where projects can be done with volunteers and/or concerted effort to reduce risk and/or create favorable access and egress for individuals in the event there is an incident. So the broom pool, I was there for maybe about 45 minutes to an hour. But a lot of work was being done, a lot of laughing, a lot of playing, not playing so much, but a lot of laughter and conversation while they were doing the work, so it was good to see. It was a nice, clear day, not too cold, not too warm. But there are other projects coming forward in the near future involving that. We talked about the girls' camp at length. I don't think I'm gonna rehash that. Our employees of the quarter and team of the quarter, this most recent quarter, was Simon Wright, one of our wildfire mitigation specialists. Simon is very instrumental, and he's one of our longer tenured wildfire mitigation specialists because we've had turnover in that area. Chief Senate told me when I got here, some of these positions, they're fixed term and they're like training grounds for other individuals to move on to things elsewhere. And I've certainly seen some turnover since I arrived here, but Simon's been here and he's been very dedicated to ensuring that he does a very conscientious job and very easygoing, mild-mannered guy, likable, but very knowledgeable also. And he stepped up to provide a lot of support to the community and to his peers. So he was acknowledged. His mother and mother's friend were there at the event, as was the team of the quarter. Our wildfire mitigation specialists combined with our defensible space inspectors, our defensible space program manager and others. The whole entire team was acknowledged as a team of the quarter for their ongoing efforts to reduce risk and ensure we've got meaningful projects and outcomes from those various things that we're spending Measure C monies on. So that was it was great to get the mayor and the city administrator and the two new assistant city managers coming forward and celebrating that at the EOC upstairs just a few weeks back. There's a snapshot of me with the members, some retired, some currently active, at the Fallen Firefighters Memorial in Sacramento on October 14th. Very, very touching event. Ironically, I sat right behind my agency that I used to work at, so it was kind of a surreal moment where I'm with, my members currently in San Rafael, and the very next row are individuals that just walked by and shook my hand, and I didn't know they were coming to sit right in front of us. So I'm sitting there with folks I used to work with in the past, but folks I work with now, acknowledging members that we've lost in the profession. And I was familiar with one of the individuals in Oakland was acknowledging, and I'm also familiar with Paul Crimmins, who I had the pleasure of meeting and interacting with on a couple of occasions. And so Governor Newsom spoke, very eloquent speaker, made some very pertinent and touching remarks. And all in all, I think it was a good experience. And it was the first time I actually went to the memorial, not the first time I've actually gone to, unfortunately, a firefighter's passing or an event involving that, but something on a statewide scale. This is again going to be replicated, I believe, at the National Fallen Firefighter Memorial, but I don't quite have the date. I think it's March, but I might be off on that. So more to follow. So Chief Crimmins and his family, or so I say Chief Crimmins will be there and his family will also probably be invited to attend at that event as well. And last but not least, Station 54. The photographs here show that the apparatus apron, if you will, has been dug up, new rebar laid, but there's still some other issues. The contractor has yet again failed to meet best practices and or specifications. And it was identified and discovered along with some potential sag of the sewer line underneath. And so given that, they had to dig this back up. They're routing cameras and inspection equipment to try to ensure that there's not a blockage in there in the sewer line and that the couplings and everything align the way they should and are not going to be a problem once the asphalt, or excuse me, the concrete is placed back over the top of the rebar. Some other things, minor things that were being addressed are finished, but the delay continues. So we're almost 2 years now into the construction and or occupation of Station 54 when we were expecting, hopefully by about 11 months ago, that we would be in the station and operating. We're not, and the work and the negotiation, the involvement of DPW and our staff, such as Chief Senate and others, continues. But we're getting very close right now. So the hope is these are the last things that need to be addressed successfully. And then at some point, hopefully, I had communicated November. I'm now looking at the first of the year if we're very fortunate with the final inspections and other things. But At least we know for the most part, there should not be any other issues. At least we shouldn't see issues with the things we've already identified. And so, keep our fingers crossed on that. And that's the end of my report, unless anyone has questions.
Questions on staffing? How are you on staffing? And is there a recruit class currently?
No, there's not a recruit class currently. We just had an individual resign. Unfortunately, he had some challenges with a family member back in Lake County where he came from. So he's moving back to the area and looking to, I guess, be reemployed in the area so that he could be close to his family member. That being said, we're down 3 positions. We're looking to overhire by 3. We normally get an agreement with the union to be able to overhire by 3 with the city leadership's approval. And that will help us offset any potential attrition that could occur, whether it be another resignation, someone who transfers to another agency like has just occurred, someone who fails the recruit academy or the probationary period, and individuals who may actually decide to retire. We don't have very many of those that we're projecting right now. But mandatory has been kind of quelled for the past year or so, at least, given the fact that we're now moving into this ongoing recruitment and or training of lateral and entry level individuals to fill vacancies. So right now we've got a concurrent lateral process as well as a entry level process that we're advertising for. But I think our goal right now is to push for entry level more than lateral right now to get other individuals into the organization.
And authorize that. What's fully staffed? How many members?
Well, we got 23 per shift, including 3 battalion chiefs. And that's, if you look at that, that's total 69, but, generally speaking, that's just for our suppression staff in the field. We also have myself as a sworn member, 2 deputy chiefs, and that's it. So that pushes the number to roughly 72. Yeah. Yeah.
Before we adjourn, Chairman, could either you, Chief, or you, Chairman, get to these 2, the city, what's it, holiday party for commissioners?
Oh,
I think they have to RSVP.
Yeah, I'm working like that.
Oh, you already into that? Awesome. You know about that?
I just heard about it today, and there's City Hall sending me the email.
Oh,
in my inbox.
And it's all taken, never mind.
Yeah, Lindsay's pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Most cases, brother. Yeah.
One last thing, and then we'll close, and that is with the new procedures, if you have, any items you wish to be on the agenda for December, you can either state them now or get them to Thomas on email at some point. I have some which I'll give to you, no need to go through them right now. And that will bring us then to December. I don't know where the hell this year went, but that's it. With no further business, at 5:23, our meeting is adjourned.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.